Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I know we've been putting out a lot of classes close to each other, but the input we're getting from you guys is that you guys enjoy it. You find it helpful. So we are really, really glad to do it, and really glad that you keep showing up and taking the information out there to the world for us. So good morning. This is Fresh. If you're new to Fresh is a manufacturer of acoustical products. We do a lot of ceiling and wall applications, and we also do dividers as well as acoustical lighting. So if you're new to Fresh, welcome. Happy to see you. My name is Slavi Younger. I am one of the co-founders of Fresh. I am pretty involved in the education side of things, as well as the marketing and art direction of our products. So this is kind of where you will hear from me. I see someone's okay. So this is probably why you've seen me before and at least heard my funny way I talk. I like to turn on the camera at the beginning, but just so you guys know, it's like a real person at the other side. But I'm gonna turn it off just so that you guys don't have to stare at my face this whole time. Plus, honestly, I can see myself, and it's so distracting. It's so much better when I don't have to look at myself. Anyway, so here we go. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about Stratawood. I will explain what that is. I know it's a funny names, but that is the topic of the conversation. And okay, yes, there you go. By the way, my computer I see is moving very slowly, so apologies for that. The slides are really kind of slow. Anyway, so we will first talk about what is Stratawood, talk about the differences between Stratawood and Stratawood Light, the style, performance, benefits, and also the installation options. Of course, as you know us, we will have a lot of beautiful visuals to share with you to kind of better showcase what this is all about. So what is Stratawood? The way you can imagine Stratawood is essentially a black PET backing that has linear wood planks on top, right? So it kind of gives you the look of a natural material in a space, but it also gives you the performance of acoustical product, right? It's very linear, very clean, and very on trend as we see more and more interest in adding natural products into our environments, right? You cannot go wrong with adding beautiful wood ceilings and walls. Okay, so first we'll get through some information, heavy information stuff, and then we'll get to pretty pictures. So first, let's talk about the differences between Stratawood and Stratawood Light and what that means. Okay, so Stratawood is, as I described, you know, it's a black PET in the back, and then there are 0.87 inch high wood planks on top, right? So you can kind of see a photo, and you can also see some drawing as far as what it looks like. The content of Stratawood is the black PET. It's 9mm PET. You guys are familiar with. The wood planks are made out of wood MDF and covered in wood veneer. So what you see on the right side is performance. I have to tell you is that actually I was very pleasantly surprised that the performance was as good as it is. You know, I was like, oh, you know, the planks, you know, I know, you know, there's sort of an obstruction, all this stuff. So anyway, so I was pleasantly surprised to what we got in return. So application on the ceiling, you can look at 0.8 NRC. For you guys that are new to acoustics, every product can be measured for its absorption of sound. The scale, the NRC scale goes from 0 to 1, 0 being perfect reflection, think of like a concrete, to 1, which is perfect absorption, think something super poofy and porous. So 0.8 on a scale from 0 to 1 is very highly sound absorptive, right? It is a very, very good number. Wall applications depend how you install it. If you install it with furring strips and create an air gap, you'll receive 0.7 NRC, and direct glue is 0.55. So all very good numbers. As you can see, my funny highlights, that kind of is so you guys pay attention to it. Also, so I don't forget to mention that. The other thing I do want to point out is that this all the pieces come in 2 by 8 feet, and Strata wood happen to weigh 35 pounds for each of those pieces, and that will become a little more important as we get through it. So let's look at Strata Wood Light. So the difference between Strata Wood and Strata Wood Light primarily comes from the fact that there is no MDF in the product. So what happens, what this is really is, you have 9mm black PET, and the wood veneer is directly attached to the PET itself, right? So it's much thinner. It kind of gives you slightly, from far, very kind of similar look, the same look. From up close, it's, the openings are not as pronounced. It doesn't look as rich as an expensive, I guess would be the best way I described. And I don't know if that's even a fair thing to say. That's just sort of my the way I see it. The big advantages with Strata Wood Light are, if you are working a project where you want to go as sustainable as possible, anytime you could skip MDF, it's always a good thing. The other thing is the weight is substantially different. The 2 by 8 piece of Strata Wood Light is only 4.8 pounds. So as you obviously, pretty much all the weight of regular Strata wood comes from the MDF. As you guys know, MDF is really heavy. Noise reduction performance, slightly less than Strata wood regular. You have 0.7 for the ceiling, 0.55 for the wall if you do air gap, or 0.4 if you direct glue to the wall. Okay, so that's kind of where we are, right? So high performance for either. Each is kind of different, can serve different roles. Essentially, how do you add really linear, cool, modern wood product that serves actual purpose? As first colors, we carry 4: light oak, medium walnut, dark oak, and gray wash. And it's this identical colors in Strata Wood regular or Strata Wood Light. Either option has the same exact colors. Okay, few more slides on how-tos and what-tos, and to help you guys talk to your customers about how to do it before we get to pretty pictures. So let's talk about the wall installations and the types that are available to you. So you can install it by adding furring strips, or you can direct glue or screw it into the wall. And when we talk about walls, this is, we're thinking sheetrock, but obviously if it's, you can do the same things with concrete, except, screwing into a concrete definitely is trickier, if you end up doing that. So why would you choose which one, right? The final look is identical, right? Because furring strips are not meant to be seen. It doesn't create any visual changes. However, if what you are looking for is to optimize the performance, you want to add the air gap that comes from adding the wood planks on the wall, right? The furring strips. So you have that air cavity in between the wall and the Strata wood. I put in a quick little explanation how sound works in the middle. So anytime you add a sound absorptive material directly to a hard substrate, when the sound waves hit the sound absorptive material, some of it will get absorbed, but a lot of it will reach the wall behind and bounce back into the space, right? That's sort of what the first picture means. The bottom picture is what it looks like when there's air cavity, right? So imagine the same process of sound wave hitting a wall, going through, hitting the acoustical material, going through the material, and then what it actually has to do, it has to work to get back out, which essentially is what creates that additional absorption, right? It essentially gets stuck in the opening, right? So that's kind of why you would want to do furring strips if that's important, right? Like you have very little space where you want to put this, or the acoustics are exceptionally bad and you want to maximize the performance. The direct install is just as it sounds. It's directly installed to the wall. You have two ways to do it. You can either glue it directly to the wall, or you can screw it in. When you're screwing it in, we always recommend you screw it into the PET and use black screws so they become invisible. And it's actually very super easy, very straightforward thing. So now let's look at the ceiling. Ceiling's the same kind of thing. Have 3 different options again, using furring strips, and 2 different approaches you have to utilizing T-grid, right? The drop ceiling grid. All right, so furring strip, it literally is the exact same thing as wall, except on the ceiling. You lay out your furring strip the opposite direction to where you want the strata wood to go, and you actually lifting hoist is a good tool to use to keep the strata wood close to the ceiling to help you with installation, but very straightforward. As far as using the T-grid, right, the existing or one you're planning to install, there's 2 different ways you can do this. You can either think of the strata wood as a tile that you will insert as the acoustical tile that you would insert into the grid, and that will give you a visible grid install, right? Or you can go with screwing the strata wood from the bottom, and that will give you the invisible grid, right? One thing I want to say is that if you're planning to put it as a tile inside of the grid, strata wood light is your only option. That is what fits really nicely into the grid, and that's kind of what you would need to order. When it comes to screwing the strata wood or strata wood light from the bottom to make the grid itself invisible, please always confirm the weight capacity of the T-grid. As I mentioned earlier, the weight difference is pretty big, right? Strata wood 35 pounds per 2x8 piece, and strata wood light only 4.8. So it just depends what kind of ceiling weight capacity that you have, as far as what the choice you have. One clarification here, and really that applies to everything, when we talk about strata wood, we're always talking about the 2x8 sheets, right? So any cuts, any adjustments, any fits, it all is done in the field. Okay. So as far as installation, cutting tips, and things like that, there's one more slide I was going to go through to kind of let you know how to, what to do when installing, right, or how to share the install. So every 2x8 piece actually has this shiplap lip, if you will, on one side, that really what it does is when you butt the pieces next to each other, they will maintain the spacing, right? So no one can tell where one starts and when the other one begins. They're exactly that little lip, that shiplap is there already for you. As far as cutting, you can cut the strata wood with either handsaw, jigsaw. It all works. Jigsaw with the hole cutter works really well if your obstacle, like a plug, actually hits so we're sort of in the middle of your piece. You can cut out a hole and then go around that. Just a side little note, we found that using a masking tape to put over your cutting line prior to doing your cut helps with splintering, right? So we would suggest that. When you come to a point where you need to cut the PET, as you guys will probably already know, PET is very easily cut, and one of the best tools for cutting PET is just a sharp utility knife, right? So you just use that. As far as screwing, always screw into the PET. It's much easier to do. It will not damage your beautiful veneer, and also it disappears, right? So you definitely always want to go and use the PET. I know this is kind of a weird photo, but the rectangle with all the little dots on it that you see on the right side, bottom right side, that's actually what sort of represents the back of Strata Wood. So Strata Wood has these industrial staples that hold the pieces of wood together. So if you do cut the piece to size, you can reattach the planks back through the back onto the PET by using 1/2 inch black screws. Relatively, simple thing, but actually just depends where you are and if they need to, how far from the staples that you've cut, if you do or don't need to do that. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it as far as install, right? It's a product that can be a bunch of different things, right? We're starting with linear pieces that we can do all kinds of different things with. This is my little braggy slide here. So we are really excited about Strata Wood. This is like, and you probably hear me, I'm excitable. I probably say it about a lot of products, but the attention this thing has gotten this early on has been really great. We have already been nominated for Product of the Year that will be announced in January. We'll see from Interior Design. We have won HIP Award, and we actually have one that will be announced in December that we cannot officially say until December. They swore us to secrecy, but it's an architectural magazine. Let's just say that, right? So one that we're actually the most excited about is also another thing that is coming our way. So very excited about all that. So let's take a look at a few things, right? So this is the darker walnut color, just wall coverage, and door coverage, going, vertical linear application. Here on the left, you see the look you can create if you use the wall and ceiling in combination to sort of, define space, kind of create an interesting look. On the right, again, you have the medium brown color, again, vertical application. I threw in these two. This is actually my house, and if you've been in our shop, that's Jill down there. That's our shop dog. So these are not very good pictures, but I wanted to show you sort of what it looks like. This was actually installed by my husband on one Saturday. It was really simple. It turned out really cool, and actually very much helped. It's actually a very new house. It's super open and it's super echoey, and actually not the best place to watch TV because it's quite loud. It made all the difference, and as you can see, it's a direct install to the wall, and it looks actually really cool. So here's a ceiling version. This is just showcasing, if you just alternate how you install these pieces, you can attain this kind of look. This is uncut. It's 2 by 8 pieces, 2 of them next to each other, and then 2 by 8 piece going the other direction, right? So that's just, again, and this is the lighter version of it. Here's kind of 2 different directions on the left, using the wall, which looks quite awesome, and then on the right you have, the Strata Wood was inset between a wood planks that you see here, for sort of yet another kind of a cool look. So here you have the Strata Wood light with being used as a acoustical tile or in lieu of acoustical tile, I should say. The picture on the right is it's not a professional photo. It's just one of our installs that just the installer sent us a photo. I think this is actually still in the process. I thought it turned out really good. And they're like, oh, it was so easy, it was so great, and see all these cuts they did for the lights and all that, and yeah, really, really beautiful thing. This is the gray wash color. The other thing to mention about the material is that it does have a little bit of a bend, right? Because it's PET, right? So you can bend it a little bit. So you can actually go around areas that like maybe like a pillar or something. It can be as tight, possibly as you still have you'll have the pieces of wood to do, but it's kind of another option right there. So this is the final pictures for Strata Wood goes. I actually I was looking for something to snazz it up, and I was looking for like, oh, very motivational sayings, but then I came across philosophers' sayings that actually to me sounded like a little bit of they were just a little bit of back and forth there, right? So I created this just because it's fun. So the only thing I know is that I know nothing. Socrates. That man is wisest who, like Socrates, realizes that his wisdom is worthless. Plato. Anyway, you gotta love that, right? So that is the thing about Strata Wood. We have a few minutes left, and I wanna actually give you guys a preview on a couple things that are coming down pike in matter of minutes. They're actually already ready, so we can certainly do that. We are adding, this is sort of the same wood theme. We're adding 2 wood prints to our PET offering, gray wash and rich soil. We actually have done projects with both of them. They're really, really gorgeous, actually. I'm really excited about these. They are, I would say they're better than our current colors. There's just a little more richness to them, a little more, they do come through as very natural looking. So I think we are really close to having all the samples ready to distribute. So we'll be sending those to our sales reps, and also so you can get them from our sales reps in your area, or you can of course always email samples at frash.co to receive your own. The other thing I was going to mention to you is that our panel, which actually is one of our very popular products, has new patterns, and it has lots of new patterns. It's actually 21 new patterns to choose from. So as you can see, we kind of had a little bit of a fun with this. So here they all are. These pattern spec sheets is on our website. It's for if we have our reps on here, it's in rep portal, so you can certainly have access to the newer version and start showcasing it to your customers. So those are 2 little new things already sort of there that you can certainly go for it. The next class we will be doing is on Vibe. Vibe is our molded product, and we will be doing that November 11th. So it's around the corner. And so what we'll talk about is all the different installation for Vibe, as far as what you can do with ceilings, walls, etc. Hope you can join us for that as well.